Hey everybody, it's Cynthia, and I am here with something a little different, which is some things that are a little different than I normally pick up. I always try to expand my knowledge and what I sell whenever I find things that interest me. I figure there's got to be somebody else out there who thinks it's cool. And so what I want to go over today is about 10 items that I grabbed that are a little bit out of the ordinary for me, maybe not for you. Some were hits and some were misses. So see if you can guess before we get there which ones worked and which ones didn't. We're going to start right off with this quilted velvet lined cape. Um, Now, the picture doesn't do it justice. It's real pretty. It's very heavy. I think it was handmade. And I have to say, when I found it, I thought it was a tree skirt. And so did the person who was selling it to me. But we realized it has like an old school hook and eye on it, and it's lined on the underside. I think I can show you that there. See, it's lined with a beautiful satin underneath, and the outside is this quilted heavy green velvet with red velvet trim and all this gold. It's a beautiful piece, and to me it looked like a cosplay item. I thought somebody who is there's got to be a cosplayer out there who really interested in this, or like a Christmas caroler, dressing Victorian. It's it was a beautiful piece. So I picked it up at a garage sale from, like I said, a guy who didn't even know what it was. I don't know where he got it, but passed it on to me. And I asked 100 for it because, again, it's handmade, beautiful fabric. If you had to buy that fabric alone, it would probably cost you $50. And I took a best offer of 45, 50, somewhere in there, because the person was fairly local, so it won't cost me too much to ship because it is darn heavy. So, am I happy with getting almost $50 for this? Absolutely, I am. And I'm really glad it's going to a good home because I thought it was a really fun piece. And sometimes I just feel like I need to rescue things from from ending up in the trash, which, let's face it, is probably where this would have ended up. So, I'm sure that person's going to get some great use out of it, and I'll call that one a hit. I'm gonna before I hit one more thing before I move on from that. I do buy a lot of costume things, so in that way, it's not completely unusual for me, but it was definitely a piece that I passed on at first at the estate at the sale. It was a garage sale, and I went back around, and ended up grabbing it because it gave me a great deal. So in that way, it was a bit unusual for me. Next, this was another heavy debate. So maybe I need to change the title of this video, not so much things that I don't normally pick up, but things I really kind of went, before I bought them. This is a Final Fantasy pop-up book. Inside, it has these gorgeous pop-ups. And see, it looks like that. It looks like a book. It does open like a book, and then there's a drawer with an art book inside. And it's very cool. It came originally with a game and some figures. And if you had the game and the figures in it, it's a seriously well over $100 item. It was quite expensive to start with. Now, the reason I hesitated was this. When I found it at the store, it had this really horrible crunch at the top. It's so awful. But the way the book is made, it doesn't actually impact the book itself because the book is really more of a box with some pages on the inside. So although it looks terrible from the outside, it just didn't affect it. And again, it did not have the game. It didn't have anything. And it was a little expensive at Savers. I want to say it was $7 or $8. And I can't remember if I had a discount that day. So I picked it up, I put it back, I picked it up, put it back. If it had not been bent up, I would have bought it. Absolutely no problem, but I wasn't sure that there was a market for it like that. But there was. Someone, I think in Alaska, of all places, actually bought it, and um, I shipped it out, and it's on its way. So again, this was kind of almost a rescue. I felt like it was a cool piece, even with the damage, and I'm glad that it's going to a good home. Next is this vintage lot of Christmas ornaments. Now, my this is my ups and downs of lots. A lot of people sell lots and suggest lots, and apparently do quite well with them. I, in general, don't. I have tried quite often grouping like items, small items that aren't worth a lot on their own, in hopes of doing a little better selling them. The trouble is, once you start to group things, if you get over a pound, the shipping gets kind of crazy and all that. But here's what happened here. I was at an estate sale many months ago, and there was just nothing. And I hate leaving with nothing. There were things, but everything was way overpriced. I couldn't buy anything. And on my way out, I found a box of old Christmas ornaments. It was this and then bags of geese. Like this person was really into geese. So there must have been 30 or more variations of geese ornaments. And then these ornaments were just also sort of stuffed in those same bags. So I didn't even go through them. And honestly, there's probably a video if you go back in my videos of me going through the package and showing all these because I did not even look at them all. I just said, you know what, if she gives me a great price, I'm just going to take them all because I know there's a market for vintage Christmas ornaments. She did give me a good price. I don't remember what it was. Honestly, I bought these so long ago. But um, yeah. So I broke out all the geese and I have sold a few of them in small lots because that's a different kind of lot because they're Christmas ornaments and they are identical. People like to have identical ornaments to decorate a tree, so they went together. This was sort of the leftover miscellaneous stuff. I thought the little goofy, I thought this guy would really be something because he looked very vintagey. Reminds me of the kind of ornaments that were popular when I was a child. And this goofy, I thought was kind of vintage. And they are, I think these are part of these Kurt Adler lines that used to go through. God, we had a place when I was a kid called Gaudio's. Did any of you guys have Gaudio's? It was my favorite place at Christmas time, and I think it was right next to a toy store, because they used to make this walk through Wonderland that had all of the Christmas trees decorated and all the modern, at the time, modern animatronic toys and effects and things, and you would walk through this little room. It was just like it was like a little museum of Christmas, and it was so cool. And I think they'd actually have the air going and some snow blowing. It was fabulous, and I so loved Gaudio's Winter Wonderland. I'm going to look that up when I'm done. See if people have pictures of it. Um, yeah. So I'm not sure why. I can't even remember why I said that. Oh, so I think a lot of these ornaments were the kind that you used to buy, like at Gaudio's in the 70s. So I thought they might have more value. If I'd hung on to them till Christmas, maybe they would have gone for higher. I did have them on a 40% off sale. They did sell for $12 with $4 shipping, so the shipping was well covered, which is usually my only concern. And, there was profit because I bought, again, this was just a portion of a large collection that I got. And I find that's the one way I do really well. We're going to show another item that's similar to that, that when I buy a big bunch of stuff, as long as I've got my shipping and my fees covered, any kind of profit is good profit because I didn't spend specifically on these. Does that make sense? I would not have gone in and just bought these. I bought a large collection, mostly for the fun of going through it. And yeah, so it's all pure profit. So although this wasn't a big seller, I'd still call this a hit because I got them out the door, and I got them out the door in the summer in June. Um, yeah, so, and there's still plenty left. Marvel Defenders. Now, this was my experiment with going against my better judgment, which is probably never a good thing. I try never to buy Marvel, DC, any kind of superhero. I try never to buy superhero shirts or Star Wars shirts. Are they popular? Absolutely. Why not buy them? Because there's too many. There's just way too many of them out there. And it's hard to get yours to stand out unless there's something really crazy on the shirt. So for example, like if these guys all had pizza, I could call it the Defenders Pizza shirt. It would stand out. But as it is, all I can do is call it Defenders and list the characters. I grabbed this one because it was new with tags and thought, okay, maybe I'm, you know, giving Marvel t-shirts a bad name because Defenders is very popular. It was coming out, and I thought I liked the art on this one. I thought it was kind of cool. And again, mostly because it was new. But as you can see, even new with tags, it did not sell until I had it on a 50% off sale. So I sold it for $10. It cost at least $3.50 to ship it. So in profit, I paid $3 for it. So, you know, what is that? Maybe a dollar after my fees, $1.50, a little bit more. My math is no good off the top of my head. So I didn't lose money on it, but, you know, definitely not worth the time to do. So I know that's counterintuitive, and I know I've said it in other videos, but if you're new to this pop culture thing, you don't want to gravitate toward the popular titles. And I know that sounds really crazy, but true. Until you get a really good handle on which items sell and which don't, you're really better off saving your money and not buying the well-known names like any superheroes. Even Harry Potter to some extent, and Nightmare Before Christmas to some extent, Doctor Who, all those things. There's so much merchandise. I passed on a Firefly shirt this week, and if you guys know, Firefly is not that big a show, but apparently there's so much merchandising for it that the shirts just don't. They sell, but there's so many of them online, so many options that they don't sell for very much. So, you know, again, if you're new and you're okay with a couple of dollars profit, they'll work. They'll sell. They might take a little while to sell, but if you put them cheap enough, they'll go. So I would call this one a miss. I would not buy this shirt again. So here's another unusual. Now this really was sort of out of my wheelhouse. So these were Halloween cat toys from Martha Stewart Pets. And this was kind of another one of these I didn't want to leave empty-handed sales. And sometimes those are a bad reason to buy, but they've kind of worked out for me. So I was leaving a sale, and in the garage was an enormous trunk of cat toys. The person used to work at a cat rescue, and they got, I don't know, they bought all these. They probably bought them all like when they were on markdowns after the holidays at like Petco and stuff. But there was a ton of them, and I was debating making the guy an offer on the whole bin. And what was stopping me was a lot of them had feathers. And this is going to sound crazy silly, but I am really allergic to feathers. And just getting near this container, I was starting to sneeze and wheeze. It was bad. So I was trying to sort of pick out the stuff that had feathers, but the feathers were all over everything. So in the end, what I ended up doing was I picked out, there were some dog costumes. I have bought those before and they're kind of fun. And then I saw these. I love Halloween, so I thought these were cool. And then there were some Christmas ones, so I picked out those. I figured again, they were really very specific. And I had about a handful of 10 items maybe. And I heard someone behind me say, when she's done, I'll buy the rest. And I thought, oh, because I didn't feel like at that point I was going to go around and go, but wait, I was going to buy them all. Um, so I just took like my 10 and I left. And it's kind of been one of those regrets and not. I keep thinking I probably would have done okay, again, on the basis of the fact I would have been paying only a few cents a piece if I'd bought the entire bin. I still only paid, I think, maybe like a quarter for each of these, but I probably would have paid like 2 cents a piece if I'd bought the whole entire bin. But I would have had to deal with all the feathers. So in that case, probably just as well. Second of all, just as well, you can see these did not move until I put them on 50% off. I probably, again, could have held on to them until October and sold them for their full price, full asking price. But here was my thing. I got, like I said, a bunch of items from this lot. I had already sold several pieces of it, a couple of collars and some other things I had found. And it is out of my wheelhouse. I don't generally sell pet toys, and so I think that that does not help me with eBay. I don't think eBay tends to show my products. These are, you know, there are a lot of pet products online. Um, so yeah, I think it was kind of a losing battle. It probably wasn't that great, and probably, like I said, just as well that I didn't buy the whole bin. Um, did I make money on them? Yes, I did. Did I make enough that it was really worth dealing with? No. However, here's my other however. I was going to make a video about this. If you want me to, tell me, because I'm not sure. I don't usually like to make just straight money videos, but here's the thing. This is, everybody calls this the summer slowdown. And we were doing good. We weren't really having a slowdown, but I kind of got in one of those modes where I just felt like I wanted to clean house, get some cash flow loosened up. So I put a 50% off sale on about 50% of our store. It was all old to older merchandise that hadn't been moving and things like this that I paid so little for them that I thought, you know what? It's worth it to bring the eyeballs in and not get as much profit as I might have get if I just let these sit until Halloween. So that 50% off sale brought in a bunch of sales. I think we had 30 packages in 3 days, which is about double, I'd say, our normal, maybe even more. But here's the thing of that, because you're going to go, yeah, but you gave it all away. No wonder. What's funny, and maybe this is a complete coincidence, more than half of what we sold during the half price sale was regular full price items, $25, $30, $20 t-shirts like that. So even though we had a lot of 50% off really cheap under $10 with free shipping items, that's not all we sold. And I don't know if eBay brought more people in because we were having the sale and they found other items they liked, or it's a complete coincidence. But I loved it because we cleared out a lot of junk that, excuse me, I don't want to call it junk. It was cool stuff, but we cleared out a lot of stuff that we'd had for a while that hadn't sold for whatever reason. And again, loosened up some cash flow, got some stuff moving because face it, we all need to go buy new stuff, which you can't do if you don't sell the old stuff. So I'm going to call that a partial win. Keeping with the Halloween theme is this. Now, this actually came from the same seller as the cape, the same sale, garage sale. And although I love Halloween, I do tend to stay away from what I would call the sort of more common home decor items. These are the kinds of things that you find at Home Goods and Target and Pottery Barn. And some of these things have a lot of value, especially some of the Target Halloween stuff sells for really good money. But here's the big but, because there's always a big but. This doll and another one that I grabbed have absolutely no branding on them, which means they were common, probably, like I said, just like, I don't even know what those kind of stores would be, like the dollar, not a dollar store, but I don't even know where you would have found these, but they were not branded to any major company. They were not Pottery Barn or Target or anything like that. And why that's bad is it makes it extremely difficult to keyword your title. So just saying it's a witch doll, I have to depend on people searching the word witch, searching the word doll, because would you have called this a doll or a figure? I had to put all those words in there. It it could have been a really rare artist, one of a kind piece. I don't think it was, but it could have been. But I have no way of knowing that or projecting that in the listing title. So when you have an item that's not branded, it really does hurt you in that respect. Um, it does definitely make it harder to get people to find it. How? Having said that, someone did find it and buy it. She's 20 inches tall, so she was a little bit bulky to ship. So it cost a little bit more than would have, liked, but it is what it is. But, did I make money on her? Absolutely. And I think we took an offer. I don't think she actually sold for 35. I never understand why sometimes eBay shows the offers and sometimes not. I think we sold her for closer to 30, but definitely wasn't under 25. So somewhere in the 25, 35 range. She's real cute. And I keep thinking that I'm going to buy up because Halloween stuff is usually pretty easy to find and pretty inexpensive when you're not buying it at Halloween. And I keep toying with putting up a store, an eBay store or a freestanding store of nothing but this kind of Halloween stuff. But I think as much as I like it, it's that same problem that I talked about earlier with the Defender shirt. There's just so much of it. I mean, you thought Christmas was bad? Halloween decor items, there are so many. I've seen videos already, people. I haven't been to Michael's yet, but I bet you they're getting ready if it's not there already. stores are already putting out their Halloween displays, and every year they're getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. Like Michael's has six, seven, eight, racks full of cool Halloween items. But they're not expensive. They're not that collectible. And there's the rare item, like I said, that Target will make every now and then, like these beautiful Frankenstein things they made last year that resonate and will keep holding their value. So, as well as I did with her, um, I don't think I would continue to buy these because, again, like I said, the keyword just too difficult. All right. Now, this was really interesting. It's hard to tell the size. This is small. It's sized for a doll, like a small doll, like a Madame Alexander, if you know that size doll. Kind of chunkier than a Barbie, but not as big as like a American Girl doll. I saw this at the Salvation Army, and it was the Queen of Everything. I recognized it right away as Mary Englebright. I used to have a postcard that said Queen of Everything hanging on my bulletin board. Um, and it was very nicely made chair, little velvet covering, lots of embroidery. And I was gonna buy it the first day I found it, but I don't know what was going on. It might have been the only thing I found, and I just thought, oh, it was huge. I'm not gonna stand in line just for this chair, and I left it. It was in the toy section. I left it. I came back. I want to say days later, and it was half price day, and it was still sitting there waiting for me. Can you believe it? So I think it was only marked at like 250 or three to start with. So I get it for like $1.25. I tried to do a quick lookup when I was at the store, but I couldn't figure anything else about it. There was no listing for it, nothing. So I thought I'm going to take it for $1.25. I do buy a lot of doll furniture, and again, I just thought this was adorable, and I know Inklebright stuff is kind of fun. If nothing else, forget doll furniture. I thought there's got to be a person in this world who wants Queen of Everything throne sitting on her desk, like Game of Thrones fan even. It's so funny. So when I got it home and I did a little more homework, I found out that what it is a doll that came with it came with a doll. Sorry, I'm being distracted by something I have to answer really quickly. I used to be able to multitask, but those days are over. Um, so anyway, this came with a doll called Anastel, and the doll, if you have the doll in the throne, it's a well over $100 item. But once I figured that out, it was so easy to list it, talk about keywords. I was able to list it, and the throne sold almost immediately. I think it sold within a few hours of my putting it up. And I listed it really late at night, and it sold during the night, like a couple of hours later. Um, I think not only just necessarily to a doll collector, but either to just a Mary Englebright collector, or like I said, somebody who just is the queen of everything. It was a neat little piece. So kind of a random pick, but 25 bucks even after shipping, that was a great deal. All right, final item is this. Remember Koosh balls? Remember Koosh critters? So this came from someone who was a unicorn collector. This was the only Koosh ball they had because it was a unicorn. And I grabbed it because, again, I just had a bag of stuff and I thought, oh, throw it in. What are they going to charge me for extra for this Koosh ball? And didn't even bother to look it up. When I got home, I found that there is some value. There is a lot of value on Koosh balls in general. If you have certain ones more so than others, especially if you still have them in their original packaging. They're a very 80s, 90s, late 80s, I want to say 90s toy. Very popular era of toys these days. So if you do see Koosh balls, especially if they're cheap, just grab them. Just grab them. That will sell in a lot. But I thought this one was so funny with the unicorn. Um, it looks like we didn't do that well. We sold it for $13, but we sold it for $13 to someone out of the country who paid like another $25 to ship this thing. Can you believe it? And I wish, that sounds like I'm ripping somebody off. I wish that shipping was what it used to be outside of the United States, but it's quite high these days. A t-shirt is 20 plus dollars to ship just to like the UK or anywhere else. So you go out further than that, it starts to get into the $25 range. And if you don't know, you should know that eBay charges fees on the shipping. So if someone pays me 20 shipping and it costs 20 to ship, I actually lose money because fees come out of that amount. So you actually have to sort of charge 23 if shipping is 20 to get just to break even, just so you know. But I thought it was really funny, again, that somebody wanted this that badly, and I'm so glad to see him go to a new home because it was really cute, and it was just kind of a blast from my past to see Koosh balls. So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up here. Lots of unusual items. Are there things there that you would have absolutely jumped in and bought right off the bat? Are there things there that you would have said, oh my gosh, never in a million years? What I want you to take away from this is stretch a little. You know, you see something, if you like it, there's probably somebody else out there that'll like it too. It may not be worth a ton, but it'll be worth getting it off those thrift store and garage sale shelves and out of those trash bins and onto somebody who will really love it and enjoy it. All right, see you next time. I hope you get a lot of pop culture profits between now and then.